Incoming.
All right, guys, welcome back to From the Bunker. It's Eli. I will be hosting today, and we have another great guest. We have Scott from Warfighter Tobacco on. So this is going to be pretty cool. I'm a little bit of a fanboy. These guys, awesome cigars and whatnot. So we'll get into that. First, just a reminder, bunker-bros.com. Go check it out. We got some pretty sweet merch. Probably give you a good laugh or two. And then you can check out what we're doing with the Bunker app. That'll be coming out here in January, February timeframe. We're taking donations to help make that happen. We can't do it without you guys, whether it's a monthly donation, a large donation, or if you're a business or a person, looking to sponsor, we have openings for that as well. So check that out. And then, of course, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. And if you don't like us, tell us in the comments. So check that out. But Scott has a podcast as well that's really cool. So we'll talk about that later. But first, we want to talk to Scott about, I like to say, and Nate Boyer laughed at me, how did you end up in the military? Because it's kind of like prison. So,
right.
Yeah. Tell us your story about growing up and how you ended up in the military.
Yeah. So I grew up in Nebraska, pretty much my whole youth. I think part of the reason I ended up in the military, when I was 14, my stepdad died. And then my mom started dating a guy that was originally from Nebraska, but we moved to Arizona, like the Phoenix area, for it would have been my sophomore year of high school. And they had a junior ROTC that was Army. And it was their first year standing up the junior ROTC in the high school. And it was I had very little military influence growing up, but I think that year, I think it hit me at the right time where, like, okay, I was going through some stuff, and then it kind of made some sense, and met a lot of good friends in the junior ROTC. And then we ended up moving back to Nebraska my senior year. But so for 2 years, I did junior ROTC, and it kind of lit the fuse, and when I actually joined the National Guard my junior year, and then went to basic training in between my junior and senior year, and then AIT after my senior year. The split option is what they called it. And then I was in the Guard for a year, and then went active duty after that. But yeah, I think my grandfather was in the Army. Both my grandfathers were both of them were in Korea, or one was World War II, one was Korea. But I heard very little stories about what they did until I was in, and then the stories kind of, they went back and forth a little bit. So yeah. But
so what year did you leave the Guard and go active?
That would have been 99.
Okay. So you had to polish your boots, man. I never had to do that.
Yeah, no, I had the BDUs and the polish my boots, and in the Guard I was a M60 gunner, so I had the M60. In the armory we had grease guns from World War II, in our arms room. So it was kind of crazy, but so I saw a lot of the, I guess, what I considered old Army, and then I got out in 2007. So now I'm like, when I joined the Army, the Vietnam guys were old, right?
Yeah.
I'm the guy now for these kids joining the Army. So, we're old,
I'm like 5 years behind you. I graduated in 2004, so that I went to boot camp that summer. So I'm not too far behind you.
Right.
Yeah, I'm in the Guard part-time now. I haven't had drill in a while, but I'm to retire. So I feel the same, dude. I'm just like, dang, man, I'm like one of the last ones left for my era.
Yeah. I still have buddies that are in, which is crazy. They're pushing 25 years now, and
Wow.
a couple of my lieutenants are, one's a 1-star general now, and it's
Wow.
most of my friends got out though. It's just the onesie and twosies that I'm baffled at. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I look at, like, my, battalion sergeant major and stuff, and they've been in, like, 34 years, and I'm just like, "Dude, no way. No
yeah.
way."
What MOS were you?
So, I've been, either a mortarman or a rifleman my entire career. So I started
Yeah.
mortars and
So
went rifleman for, like, 7 years, and then I switched back.
yeah. So 11 series, like I don't know how your body can last 30 years as an 11 Bravo or Charlie or whatever, you know. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I'm a I'm about to have my 3rd surgery on my legs. So
I get shots in my knees every 3 months. So yeah,
dang.
yeah.
Yikes.
So
Yeah, so cool, man. So, like, they did the release so you could go active. You just realized that
yeah.
it was, "Hey, man, I need to do this full time."
Well, I kind of have a funny story about that too. Like I wanted to go active duty, um, but my vision was bad and I couldn't get a waiver for it. My vision was so bad. And so I joined the guard and then I got the waiver to get in the guard. They're like, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal." You know, that was correctable, but it was just bad vision. And then I got a wait. Then I got going National Guard to active duty. You didn't need any kind of medical waiver. You just transferred. So I got in that way. And then I did
Nice.
I was a pretty successful sniper through my career too at one point. So
Huh.
the hell with the waivers. Like I'm give them out.
That's wild. You're like, "They
It's
can't
just
see," like, "Ah, dude, I can handle it. Just give me a scope."
yeah, right? But it's like, they found a creative way to screw me out of a enlistment bonus is all it was. So, I
You're
got a
like,
little
"Well."
one I got a little one when I joined the Guard, but then when I went active duty, I had to pay that one back, but then I was prior service, so I didn't get a bonus going in. So
Oh, wow, dude. When I when I left active and went guard in, late end of 2008, like November of '08 is when I joined the guard, they were like, "Oh, your prior service? Here's money. Like, please come." Yeah, so things change real quick.
so I got out of the Army in 2007, but when you get out active duty, they're like, "Oh, they try to push that inactive, reserve." They're like, "Well, you're gonna be called up anyway." I'm like, "8
Yeah.
years, buddy. Done."
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah. 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 I did
Funny.
try to join the, Air National Guard when I got out, because when I was in the Army National Guard, um, I was on the marksmanship team, and we flew to Puerto Rico on a refueling airplane, and they
Mhm.
let us sit in the boom and operate the boom and stuff when we were flying to Puerto Rico, and
Wow.
so, like, that was awesome, right? And I'm talking to these crew members, and they're just like, "Yeah, we bring our golf clubs, and, we just wherever we go, we just, have a good time." So I got out of active duty, and I'm like, "Yeah, so I went back home to Nebraska, and I'm like, "Hey, I wanna join the Air National Guard, but this is what I wanna do." And the recruiter's like, "Well, your prior service, so you can be like pararescue or combat controller or attack P." I'm like, "No,
I'm
no,
telling
I'm done with all that."
you.
Like, so, yeah. So I just stayed out.
Dude, I was, this close to going air guard because I was with some, JTAC guys on my 2nd deployment. So whenever
Right.
we were, like, on a mission where you might need them, they go with you, and they were all from Washington State. So I'm at, like,
Yeah.
my 10 years, and I'm like, total between guard and active, I'm like, "Alright. Am I staying in or am I getting out?" I'm like, "Man, those guys had all the nice gear, and they were really cool, and they told me I should check it out." So, I go to check it out, and I was in Southern California at the time, and the nearest unit was Washington to switch over, and I was like, "Nah, I ain't flying every drill," so I ended up just staying a grunt. But that would've been
No,
cool to be
those
in
that
right?
That Washington State, that TAC P unit, they're pretty squared away too for a air guard unit. I hear a lot of good things about that unit.
Yeah, I mean, I had a blast working with them, they were great. When it was crazy, I was like we were on that deployment, I was secured, PSD for a brigade commander, plus we did QRF and foot patrols, and I'm sitting there, like, at the front desk of the, on, the Pink Palace on Bagram, which some people listening probably know what I'm talking about. But, we just had to take turns doing that kinda stuff, and I'm sitting there, like, reading, Military Times or whatever, and it's, like, this write-up of about a whole bunch of guys who had cool, valor awards, and this dude Miller who I'm working with, I'm like, "Hey, that's him." And he got this, like, Bronze Star with a V for doing some
Yeah.
really badass shit in Afghanistan, and I'm like, "Hey, man, that's you." He's like, "Yeah, that's me." And I'm like, "That's pretty crazy." So, that was pretty cool, man. That's super legit to, like, know or meet people who've, like, legit just handled combat in an outrageous
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. You know, like,
So
being Warfighter Tobacco, in the community, I guess, so I get to meet really cool people, like,
mhm.
I know quite a few, Medal of Honor recipients that I would call right now, and they'd pick up the phone,
Wow.
and, they're just down to earth, good dudes, it's pretty cool, so,
I mean, I
yeah.
guess you kinda have to be to do something to earn one of those, right? Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that's true, yeah. Yeah.
That's really awesome. So, how did you decide to be a sniper? Because I would never wanna lay around and not move for that long. I think I'd lose my mind.
Oh, man. So I was a gun dork, like, even in high school. Like, I just liked firearms, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I went active duty. I didn't hunt much. I just recreationally shot. But I went active duty, went to the 101st, and I was just in a regular infantry line platoon for most of my career. I was a 240 gunner, uh, team leader, rifleman, saw gunner, did all the things. And then on our first deployment in 2003, I deployed in a regular, a Bravo company, just regular as a team leader. And about 3 months into our deployment, they hadn't stopped lost anybody yet, so people were rotating back that were getting out, and
Huh.
there was just an opening in the sniper section, and I just went and did tryouts, and I knew all of the technical questions they asked already, and it kind of like just because it was like, oh, what kind of what is this gun, and I knew exactly the nomenclature, and I just because I just know that stuff, and then so I switched over to the sniper platoon halfway through our first deployment, and then yeah, so I
Cool.
don't know if
Did
I
you end up
decided, it
Yeah.
just happened.
Did you end up going to the formal school and everything?
So I when I got back, so that was 2003. When we got back in 2004, we knew we were going to get redeployed again in 2005. So we had 1 year. Um, Most of my sniper section had not been to the school, and so I organized. I think I was one of the first big Army units to figure this out, but I organized a trip to go to the McMillan Sniper School in Arizona. One, because I was familiar with the area because I did 2 years of high school out there, and they had a pretty good civilian ran sniper school. Like it was pretty legit. You had to do stocks and everything. It was awesome. So we went to that. We went to the civilian school that did that, and right when I got back, I got a SODIC slot, a SODIC 2 slot, because I was at Campbell and 5th group's at Campbell. And
Huh.
so 5th group let like 4 or 5 101st guys go through each of their classes. So I got one of those slots and then went through SODIC. And then I ended up getting top shot and honor grad as an E5. And I was beating out these master sergeant 5th group guys. And they were pissed about it, right? But then SODIC offered me um, to be the new liaison instructor for the 101st because the 101st guy that was there was getting out. So I was a SODIC instructor for about 8 months and then redeployed with my unit again in 2005. So, but
Dang.
that was a fun 8 months. That was the best job I ever did working at SODIC. So,
I bet, man. That's awesome. So, did you do Iraq again in '05?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Where
It
all
was,
in
and
Iraq
that was
did you did the invasion?
yeah. I did the invasion. We started in Kuwait. went to Anajef, Baghdad for a while, and then ended up in Mosul. Uh,
Okay.
and then
So
it was
you
like it was my battalion that was part of the Uday Kusei thing. So it's kind of cool. You go to the infantry museum and they have the display there, and it's like I know the guys that were there, like in the museum, like that photo. I know the guys. So in this that are the now the statues, you know. So that's kind of cool. And then the second deployment, 2005, we were up north, like Bakuba, and like on the Iranian border. We did some stuff up there. Um, but it was the second deployment was it wasn't a good deployment for me. That's when I decided I'm getting out. Not because we were in a lot of combat politically, like
uh-huh.
just stuff and I don't know. Chain of command was bad at that time, and
Dude,
yeah,
a
I just
a bad chain of command will just literally destroy your will to live, man, and make people get out
yeah.
100
And
where
the opposite is true.
yes,
If you have a
100%,
good
man.
if you have a good chain of command, you're gonna you'll do anything for them.
Yeah. All it takes is 1 or 2 bad leaders and, like, it destroys so much morale.
Yeah.
But
Well, you said you listened to the podcast with my first sergeant. Did you get to the part where we were bashing the battalion commander we were working with at the time?
no, not yet. I where we just
All right.
ended, where you brought your wife to the barracks.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And, like,
yeah.
I got
Never
home
should
and
have
I was
done
like,
that.
"Dude," just the way he talks is so it, like, puts you back in time like you're still in, and he's just
Yeah,
talking like and I'm like, "This is great, dude."
yeah,
Yeah, so that was funny, man. I can't wait to finish it. I was cracking up, man.
yeah.
So
But you go back to battalion commanders through the initial push when we first went in those first 3 months. We had maybe one of the worst battalion commanders I've ever had.
mhm,
Uh, and he was one of those guys that he worked for the people above him and didn't give a shit about anybody below him. He was just going for that promotion, that rank. Um, and then the next battalion commander we had, the way I met him was we were our scout platoon was coming to the talk in a Humvee, and there was a checkpoint right out in front of the battalion talk.
mhm,
Uh, and this army guy that I didn't know is pulling an Iraqi driver out of his window, out of the seat he's driving, pulling him out of the window of his car and just, giving him the riot act, right? And
uh-huh.
I look at my platoon sergeant and I'm like, who is that? He looks at me, he's like, that's your new battalion commander. And he was the best battalion commander you could possibly imagine. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
crazy. Being in, like, 21 years now, there's been times where my company command was terrible, but battalion was good, and then other times where it was opposite, and then times where they were
yeah,
both good. Uh,
yeah,
and then, like, when you're a young guy, like an E4 or something, your squad leader matters a lot, your platoon sergeant matters the most, and my first platoon sergeant when I was in the Marines, Staff Sergeant, King, I learned so much just by watching that guy because when you got to the platoon, it was like, "You don't screw up here because that guy will do anything for us, and we don't
yeah.
disappoint."
Right.
And,
His first name wasn't Scott by any chance, was it?
no, it was Michael.
Okay. I had a Scott King that was an E6 too that was awesome. Yeah.
Okay. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he was a bullshit deflector, and, like, our first sergeant would say something really dumb that we had to do, like, we were split barracks on the base at that time, so, like, our platoon was up somewhere else far away, so he's like, "Everyone needs
Right.
to bring the here and meet here before this hump," but we were gonna walk by our barracks again anyways, and so we would have to hump our stuff down to the formation, like a half mile or however it's pretty far, and then bring
Right.
it back up, and he's like, "Don't worry about it, guys, we're not doing that." So we show up in the morning, "Where's your shit?" He's like, "It's up there," like, doesn't make any sense, and he would just, like, take the heat. He didn't care. He's like, "What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Doing that
right.
stupid."
It was my call, not them. Yeah,
Yeah, and we're like,
yeah.
we're never screwing up. We never got in trouble, and we would do anything for him, and then he got hit by an IED and got hurt really bad. Uh, like, he blew the back of his tricep off, dude. It was pretty wild, and,
Oh, no. Yeah.
yeah, but he's okay and everything, and they let him finish his career and because he was
Oh, that's
almost at
good.
20, and,
Yeah,
but basically everything sucked after that.
yeah,
Well, like, he was just awesome. I was like, "Okay, check, noted," and, yeah, that's a leadership thing that I take into civilian jobs and you just everywhere, and, it's been cool to, like, just grab different pieces of the good
yeah,
and make sure you remember the bad so you don't try not to do that. Obviously, I'm gonna mess up all the time, I'm human, but I feel like I've been able to have some of the most motivated, like, mortar sections that I've ever seen. Like, we just try to make fun of everything, and kick
yeah.
ass if we can and make it fun.
I have a great mortar story for you.
Let's go.
So I think it was through the initial invasion. I think it was either Baghdad or Najaf. It's all a mush to me anymore. But we were walking down the city block, right? And in Iraq, there's always these concrete walls that are about a little higher, I don't know, maybe 12, 13 foot tall that will go around every house, right? So then it's like a courtyard. But
Yep.
we're walking, so every street kind of feels like an alley because of these walls. Um, well, we were taking fire from like a second story building across the street, and so this mortar, it was a 60 millimeter mortar. The guy's like, "I got this," and he puts the butt plate up against one of the concrete walls and direct fires it into the window across the street. It was the coolest fucking thing I'd ever seen.
Did it even
Like,
go off though? 'Cause or was it too close?
yeah, no, it went off. It went off, but it was, I mean, it was probably 75 meters, maybe. No, it was probably 25 meters, probably 75 feet-ish, somewhere in
Yeah.
there. But yeah, I didn't even know because I wasn't a mortar guy. I didn't know you could hand fire them. I had no idea until I saw him do that. I'm like, "Oh my god." Like, it was cool. You just hip fire a mortar.
Yeah. That's so sick, dude. I remember, like, looking at, because I got in what, '04? So, like, Fallujah was happening when I was in boot camp, and they were starting to, like, learn all these tactics that we're relearning, and, like, it was like, "Alright, the next way city," type of thing, and just, "Alright, how do you deploy mortars in urban combat? It's really hard," and, like, so that's a good way.
That was a good way. Yeah.
That's so
No,
sick.
I I don't know, like, I think he was like an E4, maybe an E5, I don't know. But,
Yeah, send it.
it was just, I mean, in training, you woulda got, like, an Article 15.
Oh, yeah.
In combat, he shoulda got, like, an award
A
and promoted on the spot. Like, it was
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
that's great. So so you get through, you're, like, being a sniper, like, "Okay, it's time for me to go," and, you get out in '07, which is right
Yeah.
before and during the downturn. I got out in '08 and, like, the economy was trash, dude. That was tough. Uh,
Yeah.
what happens when you get out, man? Like, tell us that story.
So when I got out, um, the second deployment, the whole division was stop lost, right? Meaning nobody could get out while we were deployed.
Right.
Well, when the whole division got back, everybody who should have got out for the last year, their stop losses were lifted. So, like, when I cleared medical, everything was pencil whipped because they were doing a whole division's worth of people,
Mhm.
ETSing and everything, right? And so, and I was frustrated with the army. Um, then my wife had given me an ultimatum. She's like, "Hey, I'm moving back home. I would like it if you came with me. I've been a single mom too long because I think we figured it out. The last 7 years that I was in the army, we were actually physically together 3 of those years.
Wow.
not consecutively, but through the whole
Yeah.
time, through training and deployments and
Brutal.
so anyway, the I got out and I had no plan. So uh moved in with my mother-in-law, got a job, just I think I worked at a meat packing plant just and then I started going to school.
Mhm.
I kind of knew I wanted to do something in the gun industry. Um so I started working on machine tool. I wanted to learn how to do machining and build stuff that way.
Okay.
And then at about the same time I got my FFL. I I I only lived with my mother-in-law for like 3 months, so that was terrible. Had to make that end, but, it was a good stepping stone, I guess. And then, yeah, halfway through school, I got my FFL, um, started selling guns and, um, I got my SOT so I could manufacture and, have suppressors and machine guns and that kind of thing. And then, eventually that just evolved into an actual business, but it started out as just kind of a hobby. Um, and then,
Okay.
yeah, so
So you just kept
didn't
rolling and had your own business and it was working out?
it wasn't, I mean, kind of working out. I took on some business partners. Well, let's go back to school. So I got my certificate in machine tool.
Mhm.
And then I took a couple advert or marketing and entrepreneurship classes. I
Okay.
just took the I took enough marketing classes to know that I will never market that way. It was like all based on corporate, like don't offend anybody kind of marketing.
Yeah.
I'm just like, well, then nobody really likes you. Everybody just tolerates you, or
Mm,
like,
that's a
or
good
you're
point.
Coca Cola. Who cares, right? Like It's okay to it's okay if everybody doesn't like your brand. They shouldn't
Yeah.
hate your brand, right? But it's
Yeah.
okay if like not everybody's going to be into guns. Not everybody's going to be into cigars. That's
Mhm.
okay. I'm not but why waste my dollars marketing to those people? You got to find where you want to market. But anyway, I took a couple classes, figured out what I actually needed and didn't need, and then I quit going to school cuz I just I got what I needed out of it, and I didn't need the degree, so,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I needed the degree, so
That's cool, man. That's
yeah,
actually, like, super legit. Like, uh, I kinda needed the degree because I was, like, into security and stuff like that, so I got a criminal justice degree, and I actually had a pretty dang good time in community college for sure. My professors were
that's what I
super.
did, community college.
One of them was a SF guy who turned into a cop, and, like, he was just really good about the Constitution, dude. I nerded out about that stuff. And
Nice.
then, sociology was always super interesting and stuff like that. But then I'd be like, go to humanities class. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dude." But, like, I mean, you find the good. Like, I had to go to an art exhibit, and it was, these Roman sculptures of actual Roman emperors from, like, 2,000 years ago were,
Okay.
traveling through Iowa at the time where I was living, and I was like, "Whoa, this is cool." Like, I'm sitting here, this thing's 2,000 years old. But,
Yeah.
other than that, like, humanities is a complete waste of time. But, I needed the paper, but that's so cool to just go get what you it's like a trade school almost, like, I got what I needed out of college, I'm out, you know?
Yeah. I took, like, one of the best classes I took that I was dreading because, like, I was an infantry guy, I'm not into English, right? But I took
Yeah.
technical writing, and
Uh-huh.
it's like how to write, like, directions, like, if you had to write instructions, like, I think
SOPs.
like one of our project was, here's a Lego whatever.
Mhm.
You have to write the instruction book of how to put it together with no pictures. So you have to be like, you need to pick up the piece that's 3 dots by 4 dots, or 1 dot thick or whatever it was. And you have to technical writing. I dreaded it. I got the most out of that class though. Um,
Yeah,
but
especially if
and
you're
now
into
we
guns
have what's that?
especially if you're into guns, I would imagine that's, like, super l
Yeah, well, yeah, and it's just how to speak. where people are gonna understand what you're saying,
Uh-huh.
like taking emotions and stuff out of the speech and just getting to the point,
Yep.
which anybody who's in the army is pretty good at anyway, right?
Yep. Yep.
And any wife is terrible at it. You ask a yes or no question and it's 3 paragraphs later and you have no idea what she wants, so yeah,
Did you answer the question?
right?
Oh, that's funny. Dude, speaking of wives, I was listening to your podcast, so you guys went through all of this, the 7 years in the Army with actually 3 years together, and you're like 25 years together. That's so cool, dude.
Yeah, yeah, we're rolling up on 26 here this month, so, yeah.
Heck, I just wanna
Yeah,
stop
no,
and
it's
quote
crazy.
that 'cause that is, like, super legit and not easy.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
you don't see it in the infantry, like, most of my
mm-mm.
infantry buddies that I was with are on their 3rd now, so
Yeah, I did the old straight out of boot camp, "Whatever you do, don't go home and ask the girl to marry you." And I'm like, "Oh, this girl I was on and off with my senior year sounds like a great idea."
right.
So, but I never made that mistake again. Like I got I said, "All right, I learned my lesson. Both my parents been divorced 3 times. Once is good enough for me." So now I'm very happily married, 7 years now, so
Yeah,
but
that's good.
I waited 9 years, dude. I was like, "Never again am I making that mistake."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a one and done. Even if it would end tomorrow, I think yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't wanna try dating again, you know what I mean? Like,
Can you
I don't
imagine what
know.
that's like nowadays? Like,
Not to find somebody you want to actually have a relationship with, that would be terrible.
yeah, like I met my wife online 7 years ago, but I mean, that landscape's even it was like, yeah, I was like, "Man, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I think I'm just gonna be single forever." And
Right.
then at the last minute, you find someone, like, I can't imagine that now. It's got like, it's insane.
Then
Yeah.
again, if you're even remotely an alpha male, you probably stand a pretty good chance.
I guess, right? Because 'Cause they're, like, so particular, like yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
No. Random sidebar. My bad.
Yeah.
No, but, yeah, so you get through all that, you're going to community college, you're getting these skills you need out of it, and then, where are we going from there?
Yeah, so then I partner up, um I wanted to partner with this one guy that had a machine shop because obviously I went to, machining school, that was kind of the goal, um, and, he had a partner that I became a partner with through that, I guess, and,
Okay.
but I don't know if you're familiar with Bighorn Arms, or Zermatt Arms.
No, I'm not a huge gun guy, like, I got a Smith& and
Yeah,
Wesson.
so they do real high-end precision rifle actions,
Okay.
um, so I was part owner of that initially, and then me and the other business partner just did not at all get along. So
Yeah.
that all kind of fell apart. At the same time, though, I had just started in my gun store. I was selling other brands of cigars, and we had just decided we were going to start our own brand. Because in the firearm industry, like we were pretty good at marketing. Doing the videos and stuff to like here's a new product, but we would never see any sales from it because nobody would leave their local market to come to us to buy it. It was just kind of so we decided we needed a product that one we made, that we could brand, and that was a consumable. Because another thing in the gun industry, if I sell you a really good gun, that doesn't mean you're going to come back and buy 10 more. It's not like you're going to use it up or,
Yeah.
you know, so, so I wanted a consumable and, we kind of landed on cigars. And that was there was 4 of us that were drunk in Vegas and like, let's start a cigar brand. And then, we all looked at each other like, "Does anybody know how to do this?" None of us did. One of us
That's gotta
thought we did.
entail so much. That's gotta entail so
Yeah.
much.
One guy's like, "I know where to get cigars." Well, he knew where to get cigars with custom bands. but
Okay.
it wasn't brand worthy, right? It was like, so but that's what we did. We're like, "Hey, we need," I don't know however many we were ordering back then, "but we need this many cigars," and, we were like his number 1 customer, and then, and the cigars were okay. I would By what I do today standards, I think the cigars were trash, right? But for
Yeah.
us, it was more of a prove the concept, and none of us had any idea what we were doing. Um, but, within about 2 months, we were ordering more cigars than he could supply us with. He's like, I can't get any more for months." And so we're like, "Okay." So then we're like, "Well, let's cut to the source." So then we had another kind of middle guy that introduced us to a factory in Nicaragua. Uh, and that was awesome. The quality of the cigars went way up. The factory was great. The middleman wasn't so much. Um, he tried to take advantage of us as much as he could. So it took about a year before we like got rid of the middleman, found a different factory in Nicaragua that we work real well with now, direct with.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty awesome. But
Yeah.
it was just a lot of making mistakes and then just trying not to make the same one twice. So
Okay. I can't imagine the logistics on international stuff and all that, like, it's gotta be pretty wild, especially when you're first starting.
yeah, the international part wasn't so bad.
Okay.
Um, as far as like shipping and stuff like that, the cigar industry has a unique challenge though. So say I go to a factory in Nicaragua and I order cigars. It's a minimum of 120 to 180 days from the time you order to the time they deliver because you have to get put on the schedule to have them made. It takes X amount of time to make them, and then they have to age. And the aging is a very important thing. If they're not aged, then they have an ammonia flavor. Like it's just bad, right? So,
Uh-huh.
so as a brand new company, you're trying to project growth 180 days out, right?
Dude,
But
that's tough.
then what we ran into was that 180 days turned into 250 days before we actually got stuff delivered.
Okay.
Right? So then we're like, "Okay, we need to do a different factory because we can't," like, that's a huge
It's
when you're
almost a year.
planning on 180 days, that was the biggest challenge was the timing, you know?
Uh-huh.
And then when we go down to Nicaragua, I don't speak Spanish. I understand body language real well, and now I understand a lot of Spanish, but back then I didn't understand at all. But one of our big holdups was our box factory, the factory that made boxes. They would say, "Hey, they'll be ready. When are these going to be done?" "Oh, 2 months, they'll be done." Okay, great. They wouldn't get done for 4 or 5 months. So the
Mm.
next time I go to this box factory, I'm like, "Look, man, I'm going to let you tell me when these are going to be done." He's like, "Okay, this date." I said, "Now I'm going to give you an opportunity to change your mind." I said, "If you're early, I will pay you a percentage more per box. If you're
Yeah.
late, I'm taking 50% off." And now, knowing that, you can tell me the date that these boxes are gonna be done, like, I'm trying to give him a trying to get a timeline,
Yeah.
and, one of the biggest things I learned was mañana does not mean tomorrow in Spanish. It means not right now, because we would be there and he'd be like, "Mañana, it'll be done mañana," right? So we would show up 24 hours later, I'm like, "Where's it at?" He's like, "No, no, like, you said tomorrow," so, it's kinda like inshallah, right? Like,
Yep.
God willing, it'll get done. Yeah, yeah. So,
Dude, that's
uh
a pretty baller move to put it that way so you could get what you need. That's smart. I like
yeah,
that.
because for us, it was all timing on advertising, timing on marketing. We were lining up to advertise on podcasts, you know, uh, we actually, when the Drinking Bros came out, they were advertising on the podcast before our website went live because we figured out credit cards won't process tobacco unless you have certain things done. And one of the things we didn't know at the time. And so we were
Wow.
ready to go live. We turn it on, they shut it right back off. They're like, we're not processing it. So, we had to figure that out. So our advertising went live a week before our products did, uh,
Mhm.
which wasn't great.
Dude, that's pretty wild. Entrepreneurship, man.
Yeah.
Shoot, that's cool. What's, like, super awesome to see where you guys are at now and, like, um, you know, well, I've been smoking them since, like, 2018, probably a little before that. I don't know. When'd you guys start?
2015.
Yeah, I was probably right after that because like, your marketing got me real quick.
Yeah.
I was like, "Heck yeah, let me get some of those. Those look
Yeah.
cool." I smoked the 50 cal Maduro Field. That's my jam. I'm like,
Nice.
I'm a I just smoke occasionally. I have your little Pelican case, um, and I buy the packets and everything, but I'm like, I don't know that much about them. I've had my old boss used to send me some on my last deployment to Syria, so I started
Right.
learning a few other things, but, yeah, I'm kind of a novice. Like, I started out Connecticut shades, and then I was
Yeah.
like, those just taste like cigarettes to me now." Like, I'm like, "No."
It
So,
depends
I
on the Connecticut. Uh,
don't okay.
each is a little different.
You should what alright, so knowing what I smoke, what should I try now? I usually get the Minutemen too unless I'm gonna take some time.
Yeah, so the Minutemen's a size for us, so you can get a Minuteman in whatever blend now. Um, but if you like the 50 Maduro, I mean the Garrison Rosado, which is this guy. Where's my camera? This
There
guy.
we
Like that's
okay.
my favorite. I smoke it all the time. Um, but that Maduro is a milder Maduro. There's some
Uh-huh.
Maduros that are a lot stronger. Um, but that one lets some of the flavor. If it get too strong, sometimes it masks the flavor of the cigar.
Mhm.
But our 50 field is it's got a not it's not sweet, artificially sweet, but I
Yeah.
get a little bit of like a kind of a cocoa note off of that one. Um, yeah, it's a good cigar.
That's probably why I like it, dude. I love chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes. That's cool, man. So, so in your 7 years in the military, have we were talking about, like, different type of leadership and situations you're in. Um, people who are still in there listening, what advice would you give them about being a leader, a follower, a soldier, or anything like that?
So I like to think I was a good leader, but I didn't make it through the ranks. I was in for about 10 years if you include my guard time, right?
Mhm.
And I never went after rank, but I think my guys really respected me, the guys below me. And I was kind of the opposite of that lieutenant colonel. I didn't really give a shit what the chain of command thought of me.
Yeah.
I was more like working for my guys, but it was also like wartime, right? I think that shifted about the time I became a leader was about the time 2003. My time before that, I was learning yet,
Yeah.
and so I think peacetime leadership and wartime leadership it shouldn't differ, but it does. And
Mhm.
like we were in Kuwait ready to cross the berm and go to war, and we had first sergeants that only cared about how our uniform looked and it was crazy to me. I'm like, you be like worried about anything else besides what we look like in the middle of this desert?
Yeah.
Like yeah, but, yeah, we got our asses chewed. We were, that famous picture of the 101st, I think it's the glider infantry, and they're shaving their heads into mohawks, and they're doing the
Yeah.
face paint, right? Well, we're
Yep.
327th Glide like, our heritage is the glider infantry. So we're
Okay.
like, "Hell, we're crossing the berm tomorrow. Let's
Mhm.
shave mohawks in our head and do the Indian war paint, and let's recreate the photo?" And,
Uh-huh.
so I think it was the sergeant major or first sergeant or somebody saw us, and, it did not go over well. Like,
Damn.
they made us shave our heads, and yeah, they were not happy about it. I'm just like, "Why not?" Like, we're, like, motivated. I didn't understand, like so I didn't understand the nitpicky leadership about stupid things, what I considered stupid. I guess, yes, it falls into that discipline thing, right? But I
Yeah.
don't feel like we lacked discipline. I feel like at that point, the little nitpicky discipline things was holding us back from being focused on war fighting. Um,
Uh-huh.
and, I think once, we trained up, we didn't go into Afghanistan. So we saw our sister brigade go to Afghanistan. So, but we knew it was coming. We knew something was coming. So we were
Mhm.
training hard right after since 9/11. The day that happened, it went into like full blown. Okay, like we're a different army now.
Yeah.
And that was like I said, that was about the time I became a leader, and so I was always combat focused. I and I didn't, and then once I got into the scout section and the snipers and stuff, we're a little bit more lax on what I consider the bullshit of the army. You know, the
100%.
you know,
Yeah, and
we
you have
paint
to be.
we s yeah, we spray painted our M4s, which nobody else could. We were doing things that it's like, we were I can see where the sergeant majors and stuff looked at us like, "What are these guys doing?" But on the other hand, if you had a good sergeant major, good lieutenant colonel, he's like, "Those are my boys." Like they knew. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a big difference between wartime leadership and maybe it's different now. I've been out for a long time. I was happy though. I went to um, one of our brigades dining in. They invited any veteran that was in that battalion or brigade to go to the dining in. And so me and my wife went, and a couple of my friends went, and it was refreshing to see a bunch of young kids. None of them had CIBs. None of them, they were. It was a, they weren't seasoned like we were when I got out, but they were motivated and leaders, and like it was awesome to see it. It's still there. Uh like you get out and you feel like, man, is the next generation going to be like we were? Well, the answer is yes. The right percent of population that's in the infantry, they are like that. Now I can't say that about the whole military, but the infantry unit I saw, they were motivated, and it felt like I went back 20 years and were talking to my friends. So,
Yeah. I'd say, I'm on my way out, uh, and I'm guard too, so it's different, a
yeah.
bit. I mean, the guard has carried the load, man. I will never.
Yeah, I started out in the guard. I understand.
Right. Yeah, so but I will never, having been, like, active in the Marines and then being guard for 17 years and then, like, interacting with active army units and stuff and, like, dude, the guard is badass. Like, am I gonna be as good of a mortarman as someone who's just a mortarman all the time every day? No. And I get mad at myself about it. Like, trying to remember how to be fire direction center and, like, coordinate shooting mortars
Yeah.
is freaking hard, and especially when you're part-time. But, uh, we have all these different skills, and you'll hear people talk about it. Like, we just went to Syria a couple years ago, and, I mean, dude, I'll call them out right now. We replaced a 10th Mountain unit, and they had rusty machine guns on post. That would never, ever happen where I came from,
It
and I was like,
it should never happen, no matter where
"No."
you come.
And, like, the most squared away National Guard soldier I've ever had in my life came from 10th Mountain and won Soldier of the Year for the state of California, which is a lot of soldiers, and was a
Yeah.
he's an amazing, amazing soldier, and that was my representation of him. So, I'm sure there's a lot of great guys, and there's probably a whole bunch listening like, "Hey, man, that's what I saw," and I was
Yeah.
severely disappointed, like, "What the heck?" So we squared a lot of things away, and, like, I bet those guys do better L-shape ambush than us, but my guns are always gonna fire, like, dude.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so, uh, I thought that was interesting, but, I mean, the National Guard deploys a lot, and with I was kinda wondering, like, at a higher level, officers and stuff, I would think that it seems like we're more postured for the active guys to be ready for, like, the real war and the conflicts we still have going on, like, some dudes in Syria and Iraq and whatnot. It's like,
Right.
"Hey, we'll rotate active and guard and do the thing," you know? And the guard's still doing a lot, man, in, like, the state of Michigan where I'm at now, there's 2 infantry battalions, and it's like every few years they're rotating somewhere, and it's like, "Dang, man,
Yeah.
these dudes in
Yeah.
Michigan getting after it." So,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pretty
It's
impressive.
in hindsight, now that I'm older, right? Like at the time, we're like, yeah, the National Guard, they suck, right? And I came from the Guard, but I went active duty and like and I was infantry, so you compare infantry units at the time, right? I'm
Yeah,
comparing a peacetime infantry guard unit to a wartime, 101st
101st.
Airborne, right? But in hindsight, you look back and all the guard guys, like there's so many different civilian skills and
Yeah.
maturity that can be brought in there. Now, I saw that picture just yesterday of the Texas National Guard
Yeah,
going to Chicago with every military influencer posted these fat boys. It's like
yeah,
that is unacceptable. Like
yeah,
come on, guys. Like keep yourself in shape. Do that kind of thing. But yeah, like I've worked with some really really good guard units, uh, and there's some really bad ones.
yeah.
I don't know how you put your finger on what the problem is or where the location is. But uh,
Dude, it takes a lot of time to change a culture, like, uh, I switched units, and, like, it's funny to see in, like, one state, like, one unit's, like, really, really good operationally, but their admin is really lacking, and then the other unit's opposite, but I could
that's not
see.
uncommon.
Yeah, and then but the unit I switched to that, is like I felt like personally a little slow operationally, is really picking it up and the culture is changing, and it's
Yeah.
like so it just does not happen overnight, especially when you're part-time, and, yeah, I couldn't say how it got that way or whatnot either, but, um,
Mm,
cool to see people that care just making a difference in the best way they can, man,
yeah, absolutely.
but,
You can break down what you said to the actual soldier too. You
mhm,
said there's guard units that are good at combat and bad at admin.
yeah,
We had soldiers that were ass in garrison, like they were just ate up, tore up. But man, on the battlefield, these guys were on it. Like,
uh-huh,
you look at them, hey, go take that machine gun, Rogers aren't, and like just studs. You get back to garrison and just trash. And then you
yeah, it's
had the other way. You had the stars in garrison, the
yeah,
golden boys in garrison. But as soon as that first bullet flew, this motherfucker hiding over here. So you never know. But I think it's very hard to be good at combat and admin. For some reason, I think it's two different brains that are fighting each other. So if you can pull off being good at both, like you know, God gave you a little bit extra, I think. So
yeah, I would, it's pretty wild just to see how different everyone is and how it comes together and whatnot, and, you know, the things you learn. It was funny, I read, like, my last civilian job, the owner's like, "Hey, we're gonna do Extreme Ownership by Jocko together." I'm like, "Alright." So
yeah,
I'm, like, listening to it, I'm like, "Wow, like, I already just do a lot of these things because of my
right,
experience been at." And there was a few things I grabbed from there that were still really cool, uh, but it was, like, interesting to see how some of those concepts are foreign to, like, a civilian population, and it was like, okay, like, that's what veterans bring to the table, man, like, not every vet, right? Like, there's vets who are not gonna be great workers anywhere, even in the military and whatnot, but,
yeah,
uh, I think, a lot of vets have extra skills and, like, whether adapting and overcoming, working with less and, like, just pushing through, and a lot of them just have leadership capabilities based on their experience that other people don't, and I think it's pretty cool.
yeah.
So
In the civilian world, it's rare to see I mean, you see bosses everywhere, right? Everybody has a boss, but
mhm.
seeing a leader in the civilian world, in corporate, finding a leader in corporate environment, man, it's hard to find, I think.
That is a really true statement and that's very true, man, it's a good point. Very good
Yeah.
point.
So I think that's something the veteran does have to bring to the table is, they under even if you do 4 years, if you do 4 years or if you do 23 years. And, you know, there's a different grasp of what leadership is than if you've never been in the military.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. And
So,
then the
uh
question is, did you learn more from your good leaders or your bad leaders when you were in the military?
oh, bad
Who
leaders, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. They taught you how not to be, especially when you saw a good leader come in, you're like, "Oh, wow." Yeah. Yeah, I learned
Exactly.
more from the bad leadership too.
Yeah, for sure. And the crazy thing is too, like, you could go I just did my last one, I'm about to get out, but, in the Guard, you gotta ramp up, and then you're in country for, like, 9 months, so you're, like, year and a half together nonstop, basically, between training and all that. But, dude, you're so tired of each other at the end, and, like, I had a lot going on at home, plus I was, like, in a tent with dudes I could almost be their dads with, and I'm in charge of, like,
Yeah.
no space away from them, and then, like, people that you work under, and you're getting irritated by the end, and you're like, it didn't matter, like, my commander, if he would've told me to do whatever, I would just do it, 'cause, like,
Yeah.
he's a bad dude and he knows what's up, just 'cause I'm irritated because 'cause I've been with him a year and a half and you know, I have to do what he says even if it's not the way I think all the time. Most of the time it actually was, but, like and then you get home, you're like, "Dang, dude, like, I wish I could just work for someone like that again," and you're over here at some other
Yeah.
civilian job, and then being guard's really a challenge, to, like, turn my soldier on and then go back to being a civilian. So, like, the Monday or Tuesday back at work after drill weekend, you're like, "Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta
Yeah,
turn
you're
this."
dropping the F-bombs a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, it must be so cool to, have your own business and just do that and build the culture how you want,
The
you know?
culture's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the
Business
real
we
thing.
still struggle. There's still struggles, man. The cigar industry as a whole is down right now. It's
Really.
the economy or what, but yeah, it's I mean, there's always challenges. Every time we try to grow a little bit, we feel broke.
Uh-huh.
Uh, if we don't feel broke, and then we're not growing at all. You know what I mean? It's like, so you know it's always a challenge. Yeah.
Dude, well,
So
I'll say right now, anyone listening, this is why we bring veteran-owned businesses on our podcast, and, like, I've been buying your guys' stuff for a while. I don't smoke a lot, so I need to smoke more so I can support you more, but, like,
definitely.
the
Yeah.
anyone listening, I promise you, go check out their stuff. You're also getting humidors that you can in a Pelican case that you can take with you to the field. I do that all the time, or, part-time and part-time, but, like, just awesome gear, dude, that fits our lifestyle, and you need to go support these guys because obviously Scott is legit, if you haven't figured that out yet.
I
So
appreciate that. Yeah, warfightertobacco.com. We do you mentioned it earlier, we do the podcast, the Warfighter Tobacco podcast, and then John and I also host another one called the Freedom Friends, and that one's more banter. We got two other guys on that one. Um, it's not serious at all. It's just four guys that smoke and drink and talk shit about anything and everything. So and
who's
each
the other
other.
2
So
guys with you and John on that one?
Jazz and Mikey.
Okay, and
Yeah.
what's their background?
Jazz was a psyops guy in the army. Now he owns a gaming store.
Uh,
Mikey was a Marine. He's bad at dodgeball. He has a couple Purple Hearts. Um, yeah, yeah. But
how did
he's a stand up comedian. He's very funny. He's been working real hard at that here lately. Um, and you were saying you were in the Michigan Guard. We just had a comedian who was a former Michigan Guard recruiter, and his Instagram handle is Poopy Turds McGee, and
I'm checking that out.
he has some hilarious recruiting stories, and yeah, we just did an episode with him, but yeah, follow his Instagram too because He's Michigan National Guard recruiter, and he was a
Okay.
good recruiter in a bad way. I'll put it that way.
Dude, did you and John meet in the service or after?
John and I were in the same platoon. We deployed together in '03 together in
Okay.
2003.
That's what I
Yeah,
thought. I was just double checking.
yeah. And then John worked at my gun shop when I had that for a while, and yeah, we actually reconnected at a platoon reunion. Um, and he was living in Belgium at the time, and he's like, "Man, I should come." We were drunk. We were drunk. It was a platoon reunion. We were in West Virginia drinking moonshine. I got drunk 3 times in one day.
Whoa.
But he's like, "Oh yeah, it was bad." But he's like, "I should come work for you at your gun shop." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, you should." Well, the next morning we wake up, we kind of look at each other and we're like, "Are you serious?" Like, yeah, So uh, he came down and yeah, we've been kind of business partners ever since.
It's awesome, man. That's so cool. So, hey, man, this has been really fun, actually, and I like how we just kind of got into some other stuff. It was very chill, and I appreciate you coming on, man. Make sure everyone check out the Warfighter Tobacco podcast, warfightertobacco.com. I will speak for them. That's pretty much the only cigars I buy.
I
And then
appreciate
what
it.
was the name of your other podcast?
The Freedom Friends.
Freedom Friends. All right, I'm gonna go check that one out too because I was listening to your other one. But yeah, dude, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me.
Everyone go out, support other veteran-owned businesses, and especially these guys. There's some kind of OGs in the veteran landscape, man, that kind of popped off in those mid teens there. So I've been watching you
Good,
guys
the
a
good
long.
old days.
Yeah, dude, things were hot
Yeah.
back then. That was a good time. So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. Also, remember bunker-bros.com. We're a nonprofit. We're not made of money. We're building an app for vets. It is not cheap, but we're going to make it easy to find other veteran-owned businesses like Warfighter Tobacco, veteran nonprofits, and you're going to be able to find vets near you. So check us out. Check out Warfighter Tobacco, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Incoming, incoming, incoming.